morning, everyone, and welcome to GSU's Digging Deeper 2025. My name is Heather Sparks, and I'm going to be your MC for today. A little about myself. I'm a geologist by training with experience spanning the minerals industry, academia, and the government. I currently manage a team at the Geological Survey of Queensland, overseeing funding initiatives that support innovative exploration and resource development across the state. At the end of today's proceedings, AMEC are holding their end-of-year drinks at the Port Office Hotel. It's a free event and everyone is welcome to join us. If you're thinking of coming, could you please take a moment at some time during the day? There are QR codes around just to register. It's really going to help them with the catering and know who is going to be coming. Now, before we get into the program, I'm going to invite Chris Hansen up to do the acknowledgement of country. Chris has followed a truly unique path to his current role as manager at both the Exploration Data Center in Zilmere and the Drill Core facility in Mount Isa. Before that, he worked across education, retail, manufacturing, and construction. And in 2007, he started with the government as a store worker before quickly moving up to field roles that took him from the coast to the outback, coordinating drill sites for the Coastal Geothermal Energy Initiative. Chris now focuses on service, safety, and science, helping industry, researchers, and government uncover the secrets of Queensland's geology. Please join me in welcoming Chris Hansen.
So good morning, everyone. I'd like to respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land upon which we meet today, the Turrbal and Yuggera people. The Turrbal people's ancestral homeland includes the Brisbane CBD and Gardens Point, which was an area traditionally known as Mianjin. To this day, the Turrbal people continue to uphold their culture, their traditions, and their connection to country, which extends from Oliva Creek in the north to the Logan River in the south, and all the way inland to Moggle. We also acknowledge the Yuggera people, who have cared for the land south of the Brisbane River for countless generations. We pay our respects to elders past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people joining us here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Well, thank you everyone for coming today. I'm genuinely excited to be here today, surrounded by so many passionate people who share a love for rocks, data, and discovery. We're here to unearth ideas, shake up old thinking, and maybe cause a few seismic shifts in how we see exploration. I would like to do a big shout out to a few people who have helped make today possible. It takes a small army to put this event on every year. But a special thanks goes out to Lydia Salma, Angela Owen-Jones, Griselda Zamora, Roger Kant, and Matthew Greenwood. So thank you very much for your efforts. Before we get started with the first presentation, just a bit of housekeeping. Today's presentations are being recorded and will be published on the internet in the coming days. We're also going to be taking a few photographs. So if you don't want your photograph published, please let one of the GSQ staff know. The toilets are located just outside the auditorium door, both of them on the left-hand side. In the unlikely event that there's a fire alarm, please follow the directions of the venue staff and exit through the nearest smart door, which is located on your left as you exit the auditorium or just here on the right. If you could then please make your way to the Botanic Gardens, that will ensure that the entryways are clear for emergency crew. We are going to be taking several breaks today, which is going to be a great chance to catch up and network and enjoy some food. We're going to have morning tea at 10:15, lunch at 12, and afternoon tea later in the day. All will be served in the room just outside the auditorium here. Food can be found on both the right-hand and the left-hand side tables. There will be the same mix of meat and vegetarian on both tables, and all food is halal. However, the non-gluten and non-dairy food will be on the table on the left-hand side. And if you did register an allergy with us, we have meals set aside for you also on the left-hand side table. Also, as you saw when you walked in, the walls are filled with student and early career researcher posters. Please continue during the breaks to have a good chance to look at them, because we will be awarding prizes at the end of the day for the best student poster. So please continue during the breaks to have a good look. We're also going to hear for some really great presentations today, and all presentations will include time at the end for questions. So if you could just wait for the speaker to finish, that would be great. So, welcome to Digging Deeper 2025. I am thrilled to have such a strong lineup of speakers today. So please relax, enjoy the program, and take the opportunity to connect with colleagues and new faces throughout the day. To kick things off, it is my pleasure to introduce our opening speaker, Andrew Grabski. Andrew is our new Deputy Director General, having started permanently in the role just a few months ago, although he has been with the Queensland government for over 8 years. Andrew brings extensive experience from across the resources and heavy industry sectors, including mining, smelting, major civil infrastructure, and coal seam gas development, both here in Australia and internationally. Known for his strategic leadership and ability to work across complex, multidisciplinary teams, Andrew is deeply committed to supporting exploration and resources in Queensland. Please join me in welcoming Andrew Grabski to deliver the opening address.
Thank you, Heather. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Digging Deeper. Fantastic to see so many familiar faces and also some new participants here today. It's an outstanding turnout, really, and it's a great reflection of the collaboration that exists throughout Queensland's exploration community. This conference is really all about sharing ideas, data, and innovation, vital ingredients that drive a strong and prosperous resources sector in Queensland. 2025 has been a busy and productive year for us, both in the department and in GSQ. Since last year's Digging Deeper in 2024, there's been great momentum towards achieving the government's objectives of being able to supply the world's resources needs, while at the same time driving jobs, trade, and prosperity in our regional areas. GSQ, of course, plays a central role in attracting exploration investment in Queensland by improving the global understanding of the state's resources. The team supports innovative exploration programs and grants, leading global transition to data-driven exploration and informing resources planning that drives outcomes for Queensland. The key factor in GSQ's success is that it works for everyone. It's making mineral and geoscience data available publicly through publications and maps and other digital products. By sharing data and collaborating across government, industry and research institutions, we strengthen our collective understanding of Queensland's resource potential, we attract investment, we support sustainable resource development, which of course returns billions to our state's economy. This year also marked the establishment of the Queensland Resources Cabinet Committee, which is chaired by our Minister, Dale Last, and is made up of several senior ministers, including the Deputy Premier, Treasurer, and Minister for Environment, Tourism and Innovation. And it's there to help drive a coordinated approach to policy and decision-making for the resource sector. Focus today has been taking action to drive faster, clearer decisions for mining and gas companies. This approach provides for greater certainty and efficiency for industry, something that is essential to maintaining investment confidence and driving new development. This strong policy foundation enables us to continue investing in the programs that make a tangible difference. Programs that equip explorers, researchers and investors with the knowledge and confidence they need to unlock Queensland's potential. A cornerstone of this year's pre-competitive geoscience program has been the $4.5 million Woodsmalla to Croydon deep seismic program. This survey has been a collaborative initiative between GSQ and Geoscience Australia, and it's enabled us to image the large-scale structures so important to understanding our mineralisation systems. This incredible data set will be available from December, and this is consistent with our commitment to getting data into the hands of explorers as quickly as possible. Further, 25-26 state budget has committed $5.1 million to dial up mineral exploration through the Enhancing Minerals Exploration Program. This investment extends geoscience activities and data technologies to deliver industry-related information that supports exploration and resource development across the state. One of the flagship projects will deliver improved gravity coverage in the Northwest Province through new products and an airborne gravity survey, helping us better understand subsurface geology and identify exploration opportunities. These types of projects is what Digging Deeper is all about, using science, data and collaboration to advance exploration and drive growth. Round 10 of this Collaborative Exploration Initiative, or CEI, is now open, offering a total of $5 million or up to $250,000 per project to support exploration. It supports technically sound, innovative exploration that addresses critical knowledge gaps in Queensland's geology. To assist applicants, GSQ will be hosting a webinar on the 25th of November to help guide explorers through the application process and to also answer any questions and hopefully dispel any myths or concerns about the program. These initiatives demonstrate how exploration underpins future mining projects, regional development and jobs for Queenslanders. In July, the department also reached out to industry, seeking their input to the next round of resources exploration land releases via an EOI. The EOI launched follows the opening up of areas to gas exploration, and there is also an opportunity for companies to express interest in an area around Julia Creek known for its vanadium resources. This work, alongside our other exploration initiatives, is creating certainty and confidence for industry to keep investing in exploration in Queensland. The department also works with Queensland's critical mineral strategy, or works to support Queensland's critical mineral strategy. Our strategy involves unlocking Queensland's exploration potential to strengthen our sovereign supply chains for minerals such as vanadium, graphite, cobalt, and rare earths. And GSQ's work is a vital component of the government's approach in this space, seeking to unlock the resources industry growth beyond exploration. A key initiative of our strategy is the $5.5 million research program to drive identification, discovery and development of critical minerals. Selected research projects announced last year will focus particularly on critical minerals and how we move from discovery to mining to processing, recycling and ultimately manufacturing of various critical minerals products. Our geoscience programs, exploration grants and data investments are key enablers in this strategy, ensuring Queensland is not only a supplier of raw minerals, but also a hub for innovation, processing and value adding. Queensland Resources Common User Facility is an example of this approach. Currently under construction, this Australian first facility in Townsville, I should say it's in construction, is being built to help support commercial mining projects to get off the ground quicker. While the initial focus of this facility is on vanadium and the extraction of vanadium from Julia Creek materials, it will be ultimately able to be expanded or modified to enable work into other mineral types in the future. So sustainable resources development also remains at the heart of our work. And the Mount Morgan Mine Remediation Initiative is a good example of this. Through our partnership with Heritage Minerals, the project will involve the reprocessing of tailings to produce gold and copper and silver, while rehabilitating the site and improving overall water quality in the Fitzroy and Dee rivers. Project is well underway. Haven't seen it. You can certainly find videos of progress on YouTube and things like that, but the project has already created 250 jobs in construction and will ultimately leave post-construction create about 150 ongoing jobs in Mount Morgan, creating great economic contribution to Central Queensland. The Mount Morgan demonstrates what's possible when we combine data, innovation, and investment to achieve both environmental and economic outcomes. So through long-standing collaborations such as Geoscience Working Group and Australian Minerals, GSQ continues to de-risk exploration and promote discovery. We're modernising our data systems to make exploration more efficient, more effective, and ultimately more successful. And we're doing this in partnership with industry, with researchers, and with communities, because delivering the Queensland Critical Minerals Strategy and our broader resources agenda relies on genuine collaboration and shared purpose. This is what Digging Deeper is all about, looking beyond the surface, sharing knowledge, and building partnerships that will shape our future. As you can see, GSQ's work sits right in the centre of the story, connecting data, innovation, and people, discovery and investment. And I'd like to acknowledge the outstanding leadership of Tony Knight, as well as Janelle, and all of the GSQ team in bringing us here today, and to recognise their dedication and achievement. As we look ahead, GSQ will continue to expand its geoscience datasets, strengthen collaboration, and deliver the next generation of programs that will help Queensland explore and be at the forefront of the global resources industry. Please enjoy the conference, take the opportunity to connect, learn and collaborate, and together let's keep digging deeper into Queensland's potential. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any question for Andrew? All right, thank you, Andrew. All right, for government, it's vital that we stay closely connected with industry. We need to understand the challenges on the ground, the emerging technologies, and the opportunities shaping exploration. That feedback loop helps ensure the programs, data sets, and research we deliver are genuinely useful, helping de-risk exploration and accelerate discovery across the state. Therefore, our next presenter, Dr. Janelle Kerr, will highlight what the GSQ is doing to help boost mineral exploration in Queensland. With over 15 years of experience in geophysics, Janelle leads the Minerals Geoscience team at the Geological Survey of Queensland. A geophysicist by training, she has played a pivotal role in managing the acquisition and modeling of geophysical data, particularly magnetotelluric surveys across Queensland. Her leadership is instrumental in delivering large-scale geoscience programs that support the state's resource exploration and development. Janelle's work is at the forefront of advancing Queensland's geoscience capabilities, contributing to the strategic development of the state's mineral resources. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Janelle Kerr. And thank you, Andrew, for the opening address. Imagine standing at the mouth of a vast, dark cave. Its depths are unknown, its treasures are hidden, and its pathways are uncertain. Without a light to guide you, there is no way to know how you should go through this cave and every step of the gamble. Minerals exploration can feel much the same, with layers of complexity and uncertainty obscuring the way forward. There are many avenues of inquiry and no easy pathway to discovery. The difference is that in exploration, we don't have the luxury of this top-down view of the whole system. This is a lot closer to what we are facing. Armed with geophysics, geoscience, and a drill rig, our explorers are trying to find the most efficient way forward to discovery. This talk is about what the GSQ is doing to help shine a light into this darkness. I always like to ground my talks with a look at where the Queensland minerals exploration sector is at. So this is a wonderful place to start. This is a map of our current tenure holdings for minerals exploration permits in Queensland, coloured up by the size of the company that's doing this work. You can see there's a vast sea of pink, indicating that over 80% of our minerals exploration tenure in Queensland is held by juniors. There's obviously tenure also held by mid-tiers in the tealy colour and our majors in orange, but so much of the work being done in Queensland is being done by junior explorers. This is very similar to the snapshot from last year. If you were here, it's not surprising our minerals exploration programs are multi-year endeavours, but this doesn't change that rapidly. The dominance of juniors holding tenure in Queensland has really significant implications for how we plan our work programs in the GSQ. We need to think about how we support juniors and majors and our mid-tiers, spanning the full range of different companies operating in Queensland. How do we balance generating data versus generating value-added products and insights to be used by explorers? And how do we ensure that all the information and knowledge that we generate is accessible to not just those with in-house capabilities? I want to click across and have a look briefly at the demand that drives this exploration in Queensland. It's quite a lot to take in, but fundamentally, what this slide is showing is forecasts for how the supply of minerals commodities meets the demand of the global market for a range of commodities. Places where there's darker blue squares indicate a larger gap between the amount of mineral commodity that we're expected to generate as a world versus how much we are forecast to need. The key point here is that there are major supply gaps forecast across a range of commodities that we produce here in Queensland. This means a significant opportunity for discoveries to find a market across the world. You would think that this kind of level of demand would translate through to strong investment in exploration. But what does that actually look like recently? Surprisingly, or likely not surprisingly to a lot of minerals explorers in the world, this strong demand in the global markets is not translating through to investment in minerals exploration. You can see in this graph there's been a sharp decline since 2023 in the amount of capital that's invested in minerals exploration in Queensland. I suspect most of our explorers are well aware of this as they try and raise capital in increasingly competitive markets. Worryingly, not only is the total share of exploration declining, but the amount of that exploration being spent in greenfields regions, here in orange, is also declining. The overall picture is a little bit grim, and I'm sorry to start the day with this, but I think it's important to make sure that we're always aware of what we're trying to accomplish. Fundamentally, less exploration in minerals, less expenditure in minerals exploration leads to less drilling, and without drilling, there is no discovery. Given the vital role of drilling in discovery, I want to take a little bit more time to dig into how drilling has changed over the years
Again, here we have that minerals exploration expenditure, but this time I've asked for the assistance of economists to go and correct this for inflation. So you can see the very cyclical nature of minerals investment in exploration. This one goes all the way back to the 1980s. I would love to go further, but unfortunately we don't have data at this stage. At the bottom, we have how this expenditure translates through to drilling held in our GSQ archives. There is an obvious decline in the total number of the total meters of drilling conducted, despite the fact that the peaks in exploration corrected for inflation are similar. It tells us a story that we're all quite familiar with. That is that the same or even more expenditure today gets us less drilling meters into the ground. And this is because obviously a declining proportion of our exploration dollars are being spent directly on drilling. This means the dollars that we can spend on drilling have never been more important to target properly and leverage to its maximum potential. And then if you look at how that same drilling data links to discoveries across the same time period. So this is back to the 1970s. Oops. Okay. I've got one at the bottom here, we have major deposits, major discoveries for a range of commodities back to the 1970s. The y-axis is the depth of these discoveries. They're coloured up by the commodity that was discovered, and they're scaled by the size of the discovery. To be clear here, the timing of these discoveries on this plot is not when some initial historic workings may have found an indication of mineralisation at the site. It's when drilling to find a resource that could potentially be developed. We can see that discovery is not linear. There are bursts of discovery occurring around the peaks of drilling. So obviously drilling is clearly linked to discovery. There's a quite large cluster of discoveries in the 90s, which arguably is linked to not just drilling, but also large-scale geophysics done across the Northwest Minerals Province at the time. This geophysics leads to new targeting methods and new knowledge for the region. Another interesting trend is that a majority of the discoveries that we are making are still within the top 175 metres. We look at instead along the time axis, if we look spatially at our drilling data, we can see why this might be the case for shallow discoveries. So this is our drilling across the whole state, just a couple of our most prominent minerals provinces. You can see that our drilling data looks incredibly rich. The provinces look thoroughly explored, but what if we remove all those drill holes that are less than 200 metres deep? This is what we've actually looked at greater than 200 metres down. Not a great surprise that we're not finding these deeper minerals deposits, especially if you click across to drill holes that are more than 500 metres. Remembering, of course, that we do have a commercial discovery at Swan that is 600 metres down. So how many more swans are hiding over here? I think there's a huge amount of Queensland that remains untested, including great swaths of ground in our established minerals provinces. And the difficulty in finding these deep deposits is likely linked to our drilling. So the importance of drilling is very clear. That's the point that I'm trying to make. Drilling is key. To make more discoveries, we need more drilling. So what do we as GSU do? We flick back to the analogy. These are our Queensland explorers standing in the exploration cave. The question that we ask ourselves as GSU is how do we assist in lighting the way for our explorers to find those discoveries? How can we get our explorers to drill faster? How do we make sure we gain as much knowledge from the drilling that is done? And how do we support industry in drilling? In the GSU, the support that we offer requires funding. As in all things in life, money is at the basis of how we do our programs. We do have some base funding, but the major initiatives that you'll see talked about today and historically all rely on limited life funding. This is a suite of limited life funding initiatives that are currently on foot, The Garish Pink is the current one that we were awarded in the middle of this year, $5.1 million for enhancing minerals exploration. This joins a suite of other initiatives in the blue and green tones that are currently underway. Under these banners, there's an incredible array of projects being conducted by GSQ and our collaborators. A lot of those you'll see presented on today, and more are out in the foyer on some posters. But let's dig a little deeper into what kinds of projects the GSQ is doing to help industry. There are ultimately 6 key facets to the support that the GSQ offers to the industry. The foundational piece is advice from GSQ staff to decision makers in the sector. This looks like land use decision-making advice provided by our resource planning team. It's an understanding of market and sector trends and demand, a lot of demand curves that you saw were generated by this team. That's our georesource intelligence team. It also looks like exploring new opportunities like natural hydrogen commodities in Queensland. You might not see the impacts of these activities in your day-to-day exploration programs, but you would definitely notice their absence in the quality of government decision-making. The next piece of support that we offer is our data delivery systems. These are key in ensuring that our explorers can find all of the information that they need to make really well-informed decisions. Our geoscience information team deliver and maintain these systems, not just ensuring that historic data is available, but ensuring it's discoverable, usable, and future-proofing that system, ensuring that into the future this data continues to move with trends in data analytics. The next piece of support that we have is our physical rock collection, which is held at our exploration data centres, one in Brisbane and one in Mount Isa. For anyone who hasn't had a chance to go and look at some of this drill core and use it in your exploration programs, I would encourage you to talk to Chris, he's here today, and learn what these historic drill holes can offer to your exploration program. It's a way of leveraging expenditure that others have done before you put your valuable drilling dollars into the ground. It's also the basis of a lot of our geoscience programs. Which brings me to the bread and butter of the minerals geoscience team, and a lot of what you will see today, our pre-competitive geoscience programs. These are fundamentally collaborative, generating information and data based on collaborative relationships between industry, government, and research organisations. It's not just the data that's important, but also the value-added products and insights that we use this data to generate, putting more knowledge in the hands of our explorers. The final mechanism we have for supporting industry is our direct support through our funding schemes like the Collaborative Exploration Initiative. It is open. I would encourage you to talk to the team and see if your exploration project could benefit from this kind of support. We also have the Collaborative Development Program, which is another funding initiative driving innovation across the value chain, and our research alliance, which are helping grow our knowledge and information base. These are the 6 main mechanisms through which we as the GSQ shine light into the darkness. It's all very nice, but what have we actually delivered? If we look at our work programs from the last 12 months, using the same coloration as the previous slide, the blue programs are advice that we've delivered to government. The orange highlights better access to historic data facilitated through improvements to our systems. Purple is data generated based on our rock collection at the EDC. In green, we have new data sets generated for use by industry. Yellow is how we're sharing knowledge and insights built upon all of these data sets. And pink is the funding initiatives that we've delivered. You can see it's been a very, very busy year. If you're interested in more detail of any of this, come out to the poster for a look at what these projects look like. A lot of these programs will be discussed today. This is what that same work program looks like spatially. you can see a vast amount of new survey data on the left, often collaboratively generated with Geoscience Australia. We've got geophysics, geochemistry, and a range of geoscience programs delivering new knowledge and data across the state. On the right, you can see a number of deposits where we've taken a deeper dive looking to understand the mineral deposits in the state so that we can make predictive models about where we might find similar deposits. Come and chat to the team for more context on these projects, or of course just listen to the results today. Each program is shining a little more light into the domains, taking us from this to hopefully slightly more light. Let's not be so ambitious. Collaboration is a key part of this process. Why shine one light when you can shine many? Collaboration is fundamental to our programs because we get to share our learnings with our collaborators and we get to bring together new ideas, new knowledge and different perspectives from everyone who might be interested in the outcomes of the work. The work we're doing in GSQ doesn't happen in isolation. We need your feedback to help improve our programs. I can leave you with one thought today. The major part of what Digging Deeper is an opportunity to showcase our work, to show the new light that we're shining into the exploration veins. But possibly the most valuable part of today is our opportunity to listen to you, the explorers, and find out where it is that you would like us to shine a light. Thank you.
Thank you, Janelle. Do we have any questions for Janelle?
I'll do one. You want to just yell out?
Yeah.
Yeah, fine. So you showed a map of the tenement coverage by company size, but have you done any analysis of how effectively the companies have been able to get spend into those tenements, or have they been held up by various bodies?
I have not. I will confess. It is possible that our geoscience intelligence team have. They have not shared it with me. So it's a good question, and I would be very interested to see the results of it. But I'll have a chat to them and see if they've done something in that space. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Janelle, I agree with using a firm benchmark like how many meters were drilled, because that's very clear. I just wonder if the department tracks what proportion of an exploration company's budget finally makes its way to the actual person drilling the hole. Because I suspect it's an ever declining number, given all of the additional hurdles that precede getting to the point where you can actually drill a hole. Is that something you gather data on at all?
Again, not my group specifically, we are the minerals geoscience group, so we're looking at the pre-competitive data space mostly.
Yeah.
I suspect that would be a difficult thing to track across the board, so that's why we rely on the trend data rather than individual case studies. Again, it's an interesting point and I'll ponder, but I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for you.
Yeah, it's just that point that it might not be that people aren't drilling holes because they don't want to drill holes. It's that they can't get to drill holes.
I am very sure that that's the case. I'm sure it will be like drill holes for sure.
Any other questions? Thank you, Janelle. At GSQ, we host Digging Deeper each year because collaboration sits at the heart of everything we do. This conference is our opportunity to bring together geoscientists, explorers, researchers, and industry partners to share data, spark new ideas, and strengthen the connection that keeps Queensland's exploration sector moving forward. Geoscience Australia is one of our major collaborators, And it gives me a great pleasure to welcome Lidena Carr as our next presenter. Lidena, a geologist within the Minerals System branch at Geoscience Australia, graduated from the Australian National University in 2004 with a joint BA/BSc honours in geology and anthropology. She held a variety of roles at Geoscience Australia, including basin analyst and seismic interpreter for the onshore energy systems team, contributing to major onshore data acquisitions and synthesis projects across Northern Australia. Currently, Lidena is acting director in the Integrated Geological Mapping team, leading efforts to deliver Resourcing Australia's Future initiative, supporting the sustainable development of the nation's mineral resources. Please join me in welcoming Lidena Carr.
Morning, everyone, and thank you for the invitation to speak today. And it's great to be here in very much warmer Queensland compared to at Geoscience Australia, we always like to acknowledge country, and we value the lands, water, and sky on which we work. And we respect First Nation people and their enduring connection and contributions to country, and we like to reflect on our shared history and our commitment to listen and to learn. So Resourcing Australia's Prosperity is a new program for Geoscience Australia, and it's a landmark initiative that will secure the future as for Australia as a global supplier of resources for the net zero transition. It's very ambitious, it's 3.4 billion, it's 35 years, and it's in pre-competitive data. It will play a key role in unlocking new opportunities to support a thriving and resilient national economy and, of course, a future-made Australia. As part of this program, we will be supporting this transition to net zero, enabling a strong resources sector, empowering First Nations peoples and local communities, and, of course, supporting continued innovation. The Resourcing Australia's Prosperity is built around 4 components, and I'm going to go through each of these components a bit more as we go through the talk. Of course, or not of course, but they're going to include Australia-wide geoscience, national resource assessments, deep dives, and how we're going to deliver that data. And start with the national resource assessments. And these are going to underpin Australia's resource future and support effective decision making. Assessments will evaluate potential for critical minerals, strategic minerals, groundwater, natural hydrogen, geological storage of hydrogen and carbon dioxide, and suitability for offshore renewable energy infrastructure. And as part of our, particularly the strategic minerals and critical minerals assessments, we're going to look for commodity-based resource assessment development. And these are going to include existing undeveloped deposits and understanding the roadblocks to their development, green potential, byproducts. In the longer term, GA is going to look to produce national mineral potential mapping and going to integrate this with economic and ESG assessments to deliver a national commodity prospectus. And for example, this slide shows an IOCG mineral potential assessment from our previous program. And it's said like this, that it's going to contribute to our commodity-based understanding of Australia's critical mineral potential. So the plan is to run different models for different mineral systems and then combine these to build the commodity potential. And you can see here along the bottom of the slide, our current plans are going to look to evaluate rare earth elements in 2026, and then copper in 2027, and then we have a selection of minerals that shortlisted beyond that point. And now just to make a bit of theory real. So this is an example of a piece of work that has been developed by the Australian Critical Minerals Research and Development Hub at Geoscience Australia. And it's undertaking a detailed mineral potential study of high purity silica to identify favourable geology in regions across Australia that have the greatest potential to supply raw material suitable for the production of silicon. So this data release presents the complete bulk rock geochemistry derived from fieldwork, places like Mount Isa, but also the Pilbara, Victorian Goldfields and Harts Range. A total of 449 samples were analysed for major and trace element geochemistry. And for anyone interested in these products, you can pop onto the link there at the bottom of the slide and access them from our catalogue. The Hydrogen Resource Assessment Project will undertake salt mapping in strategic locations across Australia and assess the suitability for alternative underground hydrogen storage techniques, while also investigating the potential for natural hydrogen in Australia and its potential to diversify the hydrogen production pathways. Now, for example, as part of the Hydrogen Resource Assessment at GA, we're going to leverage other data sets that exist and that are currently being developed. And this includes the ADL project as part of the Data-Driven Discoveries program. This project has already collected seismic and is just finished, like 2 days ago, drilling a stratigraphic well. And you can see here they've already delivered a list of pre-competitive data products, most of which are already available on the web. So for those who don't know, the Data-Driven Discoveries program is a $30+ million project that began in 2021. And it's led by Geoscience Australia, but also, of course, in collaboration with the Queensland Government. It's just about to wind up at Blackwell, and the project is researching opportunities for hydrogen storage, as well as gathering groundwater and minerals data in the Aggregate Basin. So for those of you who don't know, the Aggregate Basin is Devonian in age and hot off the press. This project has just, as I said, completed drilling a 3,000 metre plus stratigraphic borehole, and that includes over 900 metres of core. And we're very excited about all these rocks, and I hope they can certainly provide a lot more information and history on the basin. So the hole is targeting the Boreal salt deposit, and it's the only known thick salt accumulation in Eastern Australia. So it's expected that we'll be able to provide a whole lot of information on critical minerals, including copper, zinc, cobalt, and combine this with the already existing seismic to provide a whole lot of valuable new information in this area. Moving on to the carbon capture, storage and utilisation project. This project will focus on using legacy data and information to make information readily usable for the CCUS industry and characterising targeted areas for geological storage and sequestration, producing a national carbon dioxide storage atlas, resource atlas. The outputs from this project will support the development and decarbonisation pathways and technologies for a wide range of stakeholders, including, of course, government decision makers, also the industry and emitters. And just for our final resource assessments component project, there is the groundwater mapping project, and this will enhance the understanding, management and sustainable use of Australia's groundwater resources by assessing Australia's groundwater resources. Sorry, I already said that. It's going to provide a coordinated national approach that will be consistent with groundwater mapping and data integration, and will provide fundamental knowledge needed to improve resource management, support responsible development while safeguarding our environment. Next detailed hydrological basin assessment will be the Carpentaria-Corumba Basin in Queensland. And of course, maybe not of course, but the team have also just wrapped up the Georgina Basin detailed assessment and are working towards an atlas product. And if you haven't seen it yet, this is the first major milestone of the groundwater mapping of the RAPI program, and it is the preliminary 3D stratigraphic model of sedimentary basins, and it's available for those who would like to look at it on that link at the bottom of the screen. The Geoscience Australia is in the process of forming collaborations with many stakeholders, but of course including CSIRO, BOM, ANSTO, DQ, with the aim of aligning national hydrochemistry data activities and to promote consistent data standards, interoperability, and accessibility. The outputs of these collaborations will allow the integration of hydrochemistry with other national data sets, such as 3D groundwater systems, to improve groundwater systems understanding and assist with informed decision-making by government, industry, and communities. The ultimate vision for this activity is that all users have ongoing access to consistent, trusted national hydrochemistry data so that they can better understand, sustainably use and manage Australia's water resources. Now, just moving on to the second component, this is Australia-wide geoscience. And the idea behind this component is to provide building blocks to better understand what lies on and beneath the land surface of Australia. By improving the quality and completeness of our data sets, we can realise Australia's resource potential, accelerate exploration, development and responsible management of our natural resources. So as part of the Australia-wide geoscience data work, we are aiming to complete national coverages of 3 major geophysical data sets, and these will be collected to provide us with new views on the geology and resources of Australia. The first of these is AusArray. Now, AusArray, for those who don't know, is the National Passive Seismic Data product. And this project will see a completed retrieval of instruments with a 200-kilometre space grid over the whole continent. The second Australian-wide data set I'd like to talk about is the Australian Fundamental Gravity Network. So this network provides the foundation for Australia's gravity reference system, ensuring that gravity survey data are tied to a single precise framework. As part of this project, GA will undertake remediation and modernisation of this whole network, or parts of the network, sorry. And these stations, as I said, serve the reference points and they level our gravity surveys, reduce edge effects in data sets and provide a seamless national grid. And just by way of example, yesterday, Minister King was able to unveil a newly installed AFGN station at Kumbana Bay in Bunbury and take the initial gravity reading there using the A10 absolute gravimeter, which we're all very excited about. And this is the first event in the densification campaign that we're going to undertake during gravity. And the final national data set that I'd like to talk about is the AEM, and we'll continue to roll out the 20-kilometre space AEM, completing the coverage of Australia by 2034. And you can see on the far side of the slide, there's a bit of a hole in the Queensland, but don't worry, this is an old image. And by way of example, you can see the recent AEM collection that was undertaken in Queensland in collaboration with GSU, and it's complete or increased the coverage of AEM on the East Coast. And anyone interested in this project, of course, there's a link there and you can download the data. And as part of the Australian-wide geoscience component of this work, we're looking to create integrated data sets, and this includes the selection of the MAG map to create national products, including the 3D map of Australia, which is due in 2031. So moving on to deep dives. Deep dives are detailed multi-commodity assessments that aim to enhance our understanding of resource prospectivity in selected onshore regions. By collecting and interpreting more data at finer scales, we'll reduce exploration and investment risks in areas with unrealised resource potential. As with so many of GA's activities, we always undertake these projects in collaboration with our state and territory colleagues, and we value that collaboration a great deal. Under the deep dives, we're also going to continue to try and gather data for these national coverages. And in this space, we look to improve surface geochemistry, isotopes and geochronology, magnetotellurics, seismic and seismic reflection. And just by way of example, in collaboration with GSQ, we're also very excited about the Janelle Employment Reflection Survey, and I think Matt's going to talk about that later in the program. I won't say. The first deep dive I'd like to talk about is the Delamerian. So the Delamerian is an area across the Victorian, South Australian and New South Wales borders. It's 500 million years of geological history. And it's a project that's due to wrap up in 2026. In this space, we aim to deliver a geological framework and multi-commodity synthesis. And I'm not going to go into it too much. It's not in Queensland. And anyone who would like to have some more information, there's a link there to have a look at. Now, the second deep dive is one dear to my heart. It's my previous project, is the Pyrrhotite deep dive, and this spans the NT-WA border in northwest Australia. It's an area of historic and current mining activities, and the region also supports several remote communities and agricultural activities. As part of this program, the project will aim to characterise the rocks in the region, correlate these across both sides of the borders, providing a seamless understanding. See how this compares with regions that have demonstrated resource potential. And in parts of Northern Australia with a similar stratigraphy, there are examples of world-class resources. So the current plans for this project include groundwater sampling, the Pyrrhotite AEM, which is about 50% complete, and there are plans for cartographic drilling. Now, this project is looking to deliver by 2029, and people wanting more information on that. At the very bottom of the slide, there are a couple of links to the work under the previous program, but also the new program as well. Something probably a bit close to the room's heart. Earlier this year, the Georgetown Julia Creek deep dive was announced, and this project will formally begin in 2026. So there has been some initial work or used to begin the process of understanding the questions. There is ongoing work with GSQ in terms of geochronology, and of course there is the Carpentarian-based inventory that was published 2 years ago, I think. And look, this is an area that has a long history of mining. It's an area of emerging resource potential. Here, of course, includes Julia Creek, which is also already heard as the undeveloped vanadium deposit. The Georgetown region, there are also many critical mineral deposits identified in exposed stratigraphy. And previous work has recognised multiple mineralising events, suggesting vast untapped potential. The deep dive area also covers poorly mapped groundwater recharge areas for the Great Artesian Basin. And we will characterise and map hydrostratigraphy of the region's groundwater systems to improve the understanding and the resource management decision-making process. The Georgetown Julia Creek deep dive will deliver a new geological framework for the region, considering the geology from the surface to the lithosphere, and combine this with resource potential predictions. We're looking forward very much to working with the GSQ and NTGS to deliver this program. So the final component of the RAPI program is delivery. By raising awareness and engaging with stakeholders to realise the benefits of pre-competitive geoscience data and information, will foster collaborative relationships, deliver data and information with tools to help improve decision making by government, industry, communities. So as part of this component, we aim to streamline access to geoscience data and information for a range of users, ensure data is reusable, support ongoing innovation in this space, and share the benefits of pre-competitive geoscience through genuine engagement. And I'll just draw your attention on the slide. These are 2 examples of Geoscience Australia's data delivery. The first is the data delivery portal, and that has links to real live geological data sets, and you can view them in real time on the internet. And the other one is GeoInsight. Now, GeoInsight is a pathway for non-geoscientists to access geology and resource insight. So it's in plain English, and it draws on all the data sets that we hold, many of the data sets that we hold, And we're going to continue to work on that tool as well. Both are available through the GA webpage. And that's it. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. For anyone looking to have updates on the RAPI program, the QR code will take you through to our newsletter that's put out monthly, and it's a really good way to see what's happening in the program, what data sets are being released, and any events that we're going to hold. So thank you very much.
Now, do we have any questions?
Excuse me. These are fantastic big data sets that you're collecting. But it strikes me that to get the long-term, the best benefit out of these, there's going to need to be lots of well-trained geoscientists with all these capabilities in processing this data. Now, I know education isn't Geoscience Australia's remit, but do you think there's any scope for Geoscience Australia to be working with tertiary institutions to help fund and develop good teaching in geosciences? Because we're just seeing universities consolidate, contract their geoscience departments.
It's a great question, and it's a big issue in geoscience, and something that we see the issues with. There's not as many trained people in these data sets. Twofold your answer. Some of the products we are able to produce interpretive products that then become non-specialized data. So some of those things are available through the GEO website, and if you can get into the portal, you don't actually need any specialist software to access these things. So you can browse all the data sets. There are some tools, and we're continuing to build more on-the-fly tools to analyze the data that is available through the portal. That's an ongoing. We've got a lot of legacy data to catch up on there, but all the new data is going through the portal. So it makes it more accessible. In terms of tertiary education, no, it's not, but it would be great. And look, it's something that I think we've changed. We have an education centre, and we've recently changed how we interact with the public. It's something. Previously, we had school groups there every single day of the week, and while some schools can come from interstate, we've actually cut that back to focus on engaging with students, having that staff having the time to engage with students by creating YouTube videos. We've actually got a YouTube channel, and a lot of material is going up on there as it's being created. So hopefully that helps with the discussion, but yeah, it is an ongoing concern.
Any other questions? Wonderful, thank you, Lindsay. Alrighty, now we're going to take a bit of a pivot and go to our poster pitches. So can I please ask all of those students and early career researchers who are going to do the pitches to come and line up next to the stage, please. Alright, so each presenter is going to give their poster pitch in 60 seconds, and we have a really great lineup. I'm not going to introduce each one individually, so can I please ask all of you to first introduce yourself and then say where you're working. If you have any questions about the posters, you can find them at their poster afterwards, so please save your questions for them. Alright, may I please present the first poster pitch?
Hi everyone, I'm Lexi Kng from University of Queensland. If you've watched Star Wars, you know Darth Vader, a character who turned from an evil image to a savior for the galaxy. And that's how I see pyrite. It can be a savior for green energy transition. How? Through calcination, a treatment that would burn the pyrite in the furnace or ovens with nitrogen, heating it up to 700 degrees Celsius. This process will turn the pyrite into a pyrolysis slag. So with that, The pyrrhotite is weakly magnetic. It can be easily separated from the rest using magnetic separation. Also, the release of sulfur atom can be used for sulfuric acid making. If you have lead and zinc, the base metals in the pyrrhotite slag, it can enter existing smelters and turn into metal concentrates. If my pyrite is enriched in trace metals like cobalt and nickel, I will use hydrometallurgy to extract them. The iron in the pyrrhotite slag can also be reused in the process and eventually turned into hematite. My focus is on the geology, how pyrite properties, essentially the electrical, chemistry, and also texture, will affect its calcination performance. I'm 7 months into my PhD. If you're keen to talk to me later. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm from UQ. I work with Lexi in the mine waste characterization through transformation. Other way around, transformation through characterization route. So I've got my poster outside on the mine waste at the Thalanga site. So we know that at this site they also process ores from the nearby Balcooma and Highway Reward deposits. And based on the extensive sampling that we did on the different mine waste features, including the tailings, the waste rock, and some other features there, we've been able to characterize which of the tailings come from which of these sources, and we've also looked at the mineralogy and the chemistry and identified that there's a range of strategic and critical metals that are found in these tailings and mine waste. And we've also determined that these are mostly hosted by sulfide minerals, but also there's quite a lot of secondary sulfate paste present. We've also I can't show you the mouse, but the mineralogy is quite different between the different tailings sources, where we have a lot of pyrite present in the tailings from Balcooma and Highway Reward, and a bit less in the Thalanga tailings. Based on this work, we have 2 other projects that we're doing on the Thalanga tailings, including one looking at pyrite resources for sulfuric acid production, like Lexi was just talking about, and another one on gold recovery from the tailings, which my colleague Steve is working on. And so if you have any questions about this work or the other 2 projects, please come to me. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Hugo Serra, PhD student at James Cook University, and working in collaboration with Ravenswood, including my supervisor that is here today, Steve Harper. Structural inheritance is a first order control on ore formation within the Ravenswood block. The world-class Ravenswood deposit is classified as an intrusion-related gold system with more than 8 million ounces of gold. It occurs immediately east of the Jessup Creek, Buck Creek intersection, right at the confluence of northwest, east-west, and north-northwest structural trends. Using high-resolution HeliMag data, my geomagnetic interpretation identifies 2 dominant structural trends associated with gold mineralization. A set of reactivated east-northeast corridors hosting the early Devonian gold orogenic systems, and series of northwest trending sinistral structures focusing the late Carboniferous intrusion-related mineralization. From this work, some key outcomes emerge. A significant endowment at Ravenswood may reflect the overlap of these two distinct hydrothermal systems, and the most prospective targets are where the northwest structures intersect these reactivated east-northeast structural corridor, specifically close to high mag intrusive bodies within low mags, defining an alteration curve. Together, these elements provide a clear structural and geophysical framework to dig deeper at Ravenswood. Thank you, and I'm happy to give you more insights about what I observed and understand about the system.
Sorry. I know I'm the last thing between you and the break, so I'm trying to be brief. And I would like to start with this question. What if trace elements like cobalt and nickel becomes more powerful when they are allocated in minerals that potentially are abundant in the deposits? I'm Elizabeth Marino, PhD student from JPU. And so alloys and ISCG deposit in the Chancery district has understood how the cobalt and nickel are allocated and where they usually reside. So we follow these elements with microscopy, ETMA analysis, and LA-ICP-MS analysis. And what we found is that cobalt and nickel rich minerals are scarce, but they give us a lot of information about the fact that these elements pass through the deposit. The abundant sulfides retain trace elements of cobalt and trace amounts of cobalt and nickel. So these elements, even if they are traced on these abundant sulfides, can become potentially interesting. So I left you with this beautiful image of a glaucodot zone. And it's here with these images of microscopy and ETMA maps where the secret life of cobalt and nickel becomes visible in the alloy deposit. Thank you.
Wow, that was really great. Thank you, everyone. Okay, that takes us to morning tea, which is going to be served just outside the auditorium. And we will start up again at 11 a.m. So thank you.